Bradley Beal just turned down $5.6 million from the Clippers. At 33 years old, he hits unrestricted free agency, looking for a bigger payday or a better fit. It's a sharp pivot from just a few seasons ago. In Phoenix, he was a max contract franchise player with total control over his destination. This chart tracks Beal's recent career arc, and you can see exactly where the market shifted. Last season, he played just 6 games before undergoing season-ending hip surgery. By opting out, he buys the freedom to handpick his next roster, aiming for a mid-level exception that pays more than what he left on the table. But if team doctors don't clear those medicals, that market dries up fast. When healthy, the upside is clear. He gives a contender reliable secondary playmaking and elite spacing on the perimeter. The downside is tying up a valuable roster spot and crucial cap space on a player who has struggled to stay on the floor. If his hip doesn't hold up, that contract becomes dead weight. Beal is no longer a guy you build a franchise around. He is a 33-year-old guard coming off major surgery, looking for one last chance to prove he can still contribute to a winning rotation. To figure out where he actually belongs, we need to run his options through a fit matrix. We're weighing 3 specific variables: cap availability, positional need, and strategic fit. Let's start with the Miami Heat. They have a hardened win-now core built around Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Team president Pat Riley has explicitly stated what they need next: a reliable three-point marksman and another real playmaker to initiate the offense. Miami just traded Norman Powell away, and Beal's offensive toolkit slides perfectly into that exact production void. But look at this cap breakdown. Miami is hard capped at the first-apron ceiling. They only have the taxpayer MLE to offer. That leaves them with a narrow window of about $6.5 to $10.5 million to spend. And right now, that money is sitting in a lockbox while the front office waits on one major domino to fall: LeBron James. If Miami commits their limited exception to Beal today, they lose the financial flexibility required to bring LeBron to South Beach. Because of that, Beal is stuck in a holding pattern. He's sitting on the same waiting list as other veteran scoring options, like DeMar DeRozan. Tactically, Miami is an A-plus fit for Beal. Financially, he is strictly a backup plan, held in reserve until LeBron makes a decision. Let's shift the matrix down the coast to the Washington Wizards. There is a scenario where Beal follows the blueprint of a player returning to his roots, realizing the grass wasn't greener in Phoenix or Los Angeles, and seeking a reunion with the team that drafted him. But the nostalgia collides with current roster facts. Washington has revamped their core, trading for Trae Young and Anthony Davis to lead the franchise. They also drafted A.J. Dybonsa #1 overall. Giving heavy minutes to a 33-year-old Beal actively takes developmental reps away from their future star. A reunion in D.C. makes a great story, but it contradicts the front office's actual timeline. It's an emotional mirage. Next up on the matrix, the Boston Celtics. Fans have flooded social media with speculation here, largely because Beal's best friend is Jason Tatum. But Boston operates under strict luxury tax apron penalties, especially after they traded Jaylen Brown for Paul George. Their primary roster gap right now is front court depth. Dedicating their highly restricted resources to an injury-prone guard creates redundancy where they need size. Boston is pure fan fiction. It fails basic roster construction logic. Finally, we check the Los Angeles market. There's logistical appeal to staying put. Beal could take a biannual exception from the Lakers, or re-sign with the Clippers to rehab his value without having to move his family. But the Clippers have a serious logjam. They just drafted Keaton Wagler to pair with a deep guard rotation that includes Chris Dunn. Forcing Beal into that lineup creates a minutes crunch, requiring the coaching staff to sacrifice defensive versatility just to accommodate his offensive upside. Remaining in Los Angeles is a fallback of convenience. It's not a strategic upgrade for Beal, or for either franchise. Looking at this flowchart, Beal's summer comes down to one choice: maximizing salary with a mid-level exception, or playing for a championship on a minimum deal. Maximizing salary shrinks his eligible teams. He must wait for primary targets to sign first, accepting leftover money as a fallback. But prioritizing a ring and sacrificing millions immediately opens doors to heavily taxed contenders like Milwaukee, Golden State, or the Lakers. Either way, the top end of the veteran market is completely stalled, waiting on one major decision. Does LeBron James sign with the Miami Heat? Forget the speculation in Boston and D.C. Watch Pat Riley's cap space. Because if Miami misses on their primary targets, Bradley Beal is the most logical high upside scorer left on their board.